Hi, welcome to Tyne Valley Motorhomes. I'm Callum and this is the handover on a 2006 Hymer B544. So starting, we'll walk around on the driver's side of the vehicle first. So for the habitation side, you use the Hymer key. We'll open all your habitation locks. So your lock's flush, that's locked. You've pushed it in, you've turned the key. Turn the key, quarter of a turn, and then turn the lock and it'll release. And this is your LPG locker, so liquid petroleum gas. So you've got two little catches here which you can bring down for loading gas bottles easier. And then you've got straps. So strap the bottle in first once the bottle's on board. This is just our test bottle to test your gas appliances. So you'd strap the bottle in. And then to get the pigtail, which is this pipe here, onto the bottle, it's a left-hand thread. So opposite threads with it being gas, so no need for a spanner, just hand tighten. And then turn the bottle on and off from the top. Remember to turn it off before you travel. And then you can turn it back on when you arrive on site. And you can get two 6 kilogram bottles in here, or you could probably manage a 6 and a 11 or 13 bottle, depending on how you're going to use the vehicle. Got a storage locker here which goes through the middle of the vehicle as well, so you've got through loading there. So if you've got a longer deck chairs, table, skis, whatever you want to load, you can load underneath and through the floor of the vehicle as well. This is your electric hookup point, so to hook the vehicle up when charging at home or when you arrive on site. You get your hookup lead, lift and expose the terminals, slide on to the van first, then hook the main point up and do it in reverse order when unhooking. It's far safer so that you're never walking around with a live lead in your hand. But that's where you hook up on site or if you are charging the vehicle before you go away. You've got some more through loading at the back. So you can see you've got a spare wheel there, on and winding handle, some pads there which are for if you're on a grass pitch, you can park on them with the back wheels, or the front depending on which way you're facing, just so that you've got a bit of grip when getting off the site. You can lock, so locks the doors, unlocks them. Switch here for your step, so you've got to take it out from the back, but if you forget it's out and you get into the driving seat to turn the engine on and it's beeping, there's a little switch there which will bring it back in. You've got your weight plate. So 3.9 ton gross vehicle weight, train weight 5.5 ton, and then front and back axle weights. So your train weight would be whatever you're towing behind the vehicle can't exceed 5.5 ton. High level brake light, wake hoo, reverse camera. If you were to fit a bike rack on the back, you've got points where the body's been strengthened. You've got your vent for your Truma boiler, so your Truma boiler's behind here in the bottom of the wardrobe. This just allows the fumes out when operating on gas. So to use the slide out scooter rack that's fitted to the Hymer B544, you've got two locating pins on either side of the vehicle. So when they're pointing to the front of the vehicle, it's locked. So if you just slide it back to pointing to the back, do it on both sides, and what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to grab underneath and slide scooter rack out. Once the scooter rack's out, using a 13mm spanner, if you just nip them up by hand and then just nip that locks this ram into place. And then what you'll be able to do is, either side there's a bolt you need to take off to allow the rail to slide down. Do that on both sides. And then you'll be able to slide the rail down onto the top of the rams and the frame, and then underneath you need to use these to then secure it back in. So as you can see, you've got to line them up, tighten that in to hold it on both sides. And then what you can do is, you've got this top ramp that just pulls towards you, and then slide it either side. That clips on with the two pins on either side to help loading of the scooter. And then you'd use these on the top, so that for the frame, the front and the back, and then that for the middle of the scooter to hold it. And then you just tie it down onto there, put some bike lock over it, and then the bike is safe to do so. But tether down to here if you're going to use any ratchet straps or things. You've got tethering points on the rail there. So now at the back of the passenger side, you've got your cassette toilet, which has got a SOG system on. So to release the cassette, press the button and slide the cassette free of the vehicle. You'll then need to unhook the SOG by pulling the pipe off and putting the bung into there to stop it from leaking. Slide it out. Carry it to your waste disposal point and take the yellow cap off. And press the yellow button at the bottom to empty. Pour the content of the cassette out, and then there's normally a tap right beside the waste disposal point. So you can fill it back up, give it a shake and a rinse the cassette out, followed by a cap full of either the green or the blue chemical into here, and it's good to go back into the vehicle. So you just reconnect your SOG and slide the cassette back in until it clicks. And then underneath, you've got this through storage again, same as the other side. You've got your waste outlet here. So just on the top here, you've got a handle to your waste. So you'd open that, and as you can see, the water is then coming out the waste. So that's how you would drop your waste, but you'd normally go over a grid on the way out of your site to deposit your waste. And obviously in the winter you want to ensure that that is completely empty so nothing freezes. 2 fridge vents, some storage underneath your sofa. So you've got your toolkit for jacket brace, tool knife for the fate, your carpets, your freshwater intake. So this is where you get a hose pipe. Carry a hose pipe in the vehicle with some hose pipe connections, as it's mainly just a brass tap on site, and pop that into there and wait until it either overflows or until you're happy you've got enough water on board, which you can see on the panel, which I'll show you when I'm on board. 2 leisure batteries. So you've got two 95 amp batteries there, so one fully charged leisure battery should last you 3 days if you use it correctly. You've got 2, so it should last you 6, and you've got your main battery fuses in here, and some more storage for your wet hookup cable and your leveling ramps and bits and pieces in there. Your diesel filler, which opens with the Hymer key, so you can fill with diesel fuel through here. So using the Hymer key, you can lock. You've got a lockable diesel cap, which is just here, and then out the front to open the bonnet, hands underneath, and then you'll be able to lift it up. There is a bonnet release catch underneath the driver's steering wheel on board to release it first, and then you'll be able to pull the bonnet up. We do have your engine battery, you've got your oil filler and oil dipstick, your brake fluid and your power steering fluid, followed by your screw wash, which is here, and your coolant. So should you need to top anything up, you'll probably need to top up your screw wash after, obviously it has been fully serviced, but the main thing you're going to need to top up in here is screw wash. Once on board the vehicle, this is your 12 volt control panel. So if you're not hooked up, you'll just have 12 volt off your leisure battery. If you are hooked up, you'll have mains 230 volt, which means you can use all 3 pin plugs in the vehicle. So turn your 12 volt on and off from the bottom left hand corner, and you'll see that the symbol here indicates that we are hooked up. And then above it, you've got your water levels, so 0 waste, 100% fresh water on board, and then you've got your battery levels, so 111 amp going to the leisure battery. So if you press, you can see that the back battery, which is the leisure battery, is 14.4 volts. Take the hookup out to give a true reading, and your carb battery is 14.1, and if you press again, if it's fitted with a solar panel, at present the solar panel isn't bringing anything in because the mains voltage takes priority. And then you do have your clock settings at the top, so you can use menu and you can change the time once the clocks go back and forth. But simply 12 volt on and off, your fresh water and your wastewater battery tank readings, sorry, your battery readings, and then the time. To lock the door, simply push the catch at the top in. That is the door locked once on board. If you're shutting up for the night, you just prop that in and then go for the handle, and you'll be able to open the door. You do have a fly screen on there when the door is open. So to operate your heating and hot water system, which is Trumatic C combi controls. So on this side, you pick whether you want your hot water, your heating and hot water, or just heating. So off in the middle, scroll up, you've got 40 degrees at the top, 60 degrees of hot water only, 40 degrees of hot water only, off in the middle, and then you go down to the gas flame, which is heating only. And this is where the 1 to 9 on the black dial comes into play. 9 is equivalent to 30 degrees of heating. And then at the very bottom, you've got heating and 60 degrees of water. So if you want heating and hot water on together, it's this one. If you want heating on its own, it's the next one up. Say you haven't got any water on board and your boiler's empty, you might just want to heat the vehicle. Or if it was in the summer months and you didn't want to heat the vehicle, you just use the 2 top settings, obviously 60 and 40, depending on how hot you want your water. Normally it's 60 degrees for doing your dishes and 40 for showering, but it's up to you whether you want a hotter shower. And then on this side, it's what source you're using. So at the top you can see it's on 2 wiggly lines, which is 2 kilowatts of mains power, which is 1500 watts. If I turn it down 1, you get 1 kilowatt, which is 750 watts, depending on the ampage the site gives you. So normally on most camping, caravan and club sites you can use 2 kilowatts. On smaller CL sites and airs you may have to use 1 kilowatt. If you are wild camping, you would turn down the gas flame on its own, which is solely from gas, and it'll heat the vehicle and the water, or whatever you've got it set to, water or heating. And then below you've got gas and electric on 1 kilowatt, which is known as mixture 1. And then below that, at the very bottom, you've got gas and 2 kilowatts together, which is known as mixture 2. Using this you'd use this more in the winter if you were in desperate need of heating. So if you are just arrived on site, you didn't want to sit in a cold van, you can pop that on, and within 10-15 minutes the van should be up to temperature. And then you would turn the gas off and allow the electric to continue to heat the vehicle as you've paid your site fees. Or if you're in desperate need of water, you can put on gas and electric and it should heat your water between 5 and 10 minutes. In the kitchen area you've got 3 lit gas rings. Allow the tops of the hob to cool down before you put the glass lid down. Put your sink cover, which you can lift off. And you've got hot water coming through there. It's getting up the temperature, it's getting warm and cold. With your 2 sink plugs, little draining dish and your main sink. Cutlery drawer with gas isolation taps. So these isolate each appliance on the gas. These are mainly for when the vehicle is annually habitation serviced. Any problems with gas, turn the bottle off to be safe. And just make sure you push the buttons in underneath the handles to release the travel catch. And you've got 2 little waste bins. Access here, but then at the front they do slide out as the drawers. So you've got an arrangement of storage. And storage behind the roller shutters. Above the fridge you've got your oven, so to release the door, lift up and you'll be able to open the door. It's just a safety catch. And you've got your light switch at the top. And then as you can see there that the oven is lit. And then below you do have your Dometic fridge freezer. So starting off with your 3-way selection. This is your 3-way selection. So you've got off at the top. First one is gas. You'll hear it ticking in the background until it lights, and that's it lit on gas. So you'd use gas if you're wild camping and you had no other source available. If you are at home pre-chilling the fridge a few days beforehand, or if you were on site, you'd use mains to 30 volt. As you've paid your site fees, you'll not want to waste your gas. And then getting back to pre-chilling, so if you've pre-chilled it a couple of days before, charging the battery of the leisure battery, putting the fridge on, allowing that to chill down the day before. The night before, if you load it with your shopping and leave it to chill overnight, and then when you're ready to drive, if you pop that on a 12 volt, it will keep the shopping fresh at the same temperature it was at when departing until you arrive on site and you go back to 230 volts, or you go wild camping and you go onto gas. But there is auto at the bottom, and what auto does is it does all the thinking for you. So it'll pick out the best source available, which at present is 230 volt, which it's gone to. If I was to take the 230 out, it would go to gas. If I was to start the engine, it would switch over to 12 volt. But just please note with the auto, if it can't find 12 volt, and it can't find mains and you want to pull into a petrol station and you've left your gas bottle open, it'll find gas, but it's automatically programmed to wait 20 minutes before lighting on gas. So if you did arrive on site or you arrived on your pitch while camping, just knock into gas manually and it'll light. You've got your frame heater here to stop the fridge and freezer doors from sticking and freezing when on full temperature. You can pop that on and off, and you've got your temperature this side. Freezer box, fridge. When winterizing or not using the vehicle, if you remove all your items out of your fridge and freezer, give it a wipe out with some antibacterial cleanser, and then you want to leave the doors open. Shutting the doors will trap all that clean air and it'll make your van smell, and mould and bacteria will start growing in your fridge. So you can either leave your doors open like this, or you can lock it. These are travel locks, so you can lock the door when you're travelling, but if you open it and then lock it, you can just rest it up upon the lock, and as you can see there, you get your fingers in, it's not shut, it's not formed an airtight seal, so it'll stop mould and bacteria from growing in your fridge and freezer. To make your front lounge into a bed, this is how the cushions would go. So you've got your base cushion off the side bench seat, you'd pull that forward, and this is the backrest, similar to this. It's velcro, so it halves in two, and then you can put your infill at the back, leave that one there for your pillows to go up against, and you can sleep across the vehicle, and put your other infill cushion, which can be found in the wardrobe or stored away, on top of the table. So if I lift this out, you'll see your tables there, and you slide your bench seat forward to create the bed base. Push your table down, there's a lever on the side of the table here, which you'd slide in the middle and allow the table to come up. So to lock the table down, you need to turn this either to the front or to the back to lock. Put in the middle and you'll be able to push the table up and down, as you see there. Push it all the way down and drop it forward to lock the table into position, and then you can start assembling the bed by using the infill cushion, pulling that forward and using the base cushion into the space at the front, and then splitting the backrest into two and using one half to fill the space, and the other half you can use as a headboard at the back, like so. Pop your foot on here and put some weight on it, and once you bring it back up, it'll go up so far and you'll think, why is it not coming all the way? Pop your foot on and it'll come all the way up, so you can get your legs underneath the table and use the table as it's meant to be for dining in your lounge. So to operate your entertainment system, which is an Avtex TV paired with a Vision Oyster satellite system, so to put the satellite dish up, you need to press this button here and it'll put the dish up or down, and it'll automatically tune to Astra 2. So you just press tick, let it tune. If it comes up with main menu, you just want to scroll through satellite modes, automatic search, and you want to press enter, and it'll come Astra 2. The dish will do its thing on the roof where it makes a sound and spins around until it locks on, and it'll come up found, receiver found, Astra 2, and then as long as your telly is on satellite, it'll come on, but you may have to do a tune, which is by pressing and holding AQT, and then all you would need to do is TV setup, down, and just do a search for the transponder, and it'll search and it'll start to find as many channels as it can in your area. But with the satellite system, you should get good enough signal wherever you are. At the back of the vehicle, you do have your wardrobe, and as you can see there's your ladder for your over cab drop down bed. Underneath the wardrobe you have your boiler. So your boiler does two jobs: heats the vehicle and heats the water. So it's got a inbuilt 10-litre water container. In the winter, it's very important that you allow the water out when not using the vehicle, because if you were to leave it in the boiler and were to suffer from a hard frost overnight and temperatures were to drop to minus temperatures, the water could freeze in the boiler. So what you need to do is this red toggle here is your drain down valve. So as you can see, if you lift it up, if you push it in, it allows the 10 litres of water out directly out underneath the chassis, and if you lift it up, it holds water. So you would push that in. You would then open all the taps throughout the vehicles, including removing your shower head from the hose and laying that in the shower tray. This will just stop any airlocks falling in any taps. You would open your fresh water tank, which is by removing the plug out the bottom of the tank, which I'll show you, and you would open your wastewater to allow all the water out of the vehicle, so no water sitting in any pipelines or any tanks to cause any damage. And then when you come to reuse the vehicle, obviously you would lift this back up, close the boiler, put the plug in the freshwater tank, shut all the taps, assemble the shower head back together, fill the vehicle via a hose pipe from outside into your freshwater tank, come in, put the main control panel on, go to the cold side of the tap first. You'll get an automatic pressured cold water feed from the cold side of the tap. Go to the hot side, it'll cough, splutter, make all sorts of noises, and all that's doing is it's bringing the water through from the freshwater tank into here until you get a pressurized flow on one side of the tap. Then all your system is then primed, and you do each individual tap, which shouldn't take much longer from doing your first tap. In the washroom, you've got your shower cubicle. So just press here and you'll be able to release the doors to slide round, and then they just clip together for when travelling so they don't move. And behind you've got your shower head, which, like I say, remove that when winterizing and leave your mixer tap open. It's just there. You can see your water system's working, and that's nice and warm, that water. So your heating system for your hot water is working as well. Toiletry cabinet. We've got 3 cabinets here, all for toiletries, and then some racks, storage, bathroom light, 12 volt point, continental 12 volt. To operate the toilet, press the blue button, you'll get fresh water flush from your freshwater tank. Always flush the toilet first, which lubricates the seal between the blade and the cassette. And then to open the blade, there's a grey lever here. You need to slide that to the right, so bring it towards you. You would then use the toilet with the blade open, flush after use If you've bought the pink liquid in a multi-pack with the blue, you can't use the pink in the header tank because there isn't one. But what you can do is you can put it into a spray bottle, spray the bowl in a spray bottle diluted even, spray the bowl, flush, and then close the blade. So bring this grey lever back towards you, back away from you, and then you'll be able to get the cassette out the outside of the vehicle once the cassette is full. Once it is full, your little person here emptying the cassette, the light will come on to indicate that it's full and it's now time to take it out, empty it, rinse it, and then replenish it with chemical. Got a hanging rail here for wet towels and wet coats over the shower, which is, if you shut the door, put the heating on, this is a great place to hang your wet coats and towels because it gets lovely and warm. But then you can open your skylight for a nice bit of ventilation in the summer months. Always make sure all your skylights and windows are securely fastened before you do start travelling. You've got your drop down bed in the front of the A-Class, so you just release the strap, pull it down. You can fold the seats, but you don't really need to, because if you pull them further enough back you'll get the bed down and the ladder can still fit between the two. Got a light here, and you've got a skylight, so you can open that for a nice bit of ventilation, like so. Privacy curtains on both sides, so you can shut this space off from the rest of the vehicle if you are using it as a foreberth. So underneath the hatch in the floor closest to the cab is where your freshwater tank is. So to drain your freshwater tank off, if you've taken uncontaminated water, or you drain it down for the winter so no water freezes, remove the cap on the tank and if you look directly into the tank here, you've got a plug. You'd simply pull that out and that'll drain all the water in the freshwater tank directly out underneath the chassis. You want to make sure you do that so no water freezes in the tank over the winter. Or again, if you've taken on contaminated water or you're not using it for a couple of weeks or a month or so, just let the water out because it will become stagnant, but we don't advise drinking this water unless you're boiling it. Underneath your dinette seat, so your extra two travelling seats, if you take the cushions off you do have storage, but then right at the back above the wheel arch you have your trips. So this is mains, RCD and MCB trip. So if you trip the vehicle out, try here before you try your main sight, as you may have just tripped your van out or you may have tripped the sight. So now in the cab, so to the right of the driver you do have your handbrake, and then you do have some storage in the sideboard unit. Strong magnet here which you can pull two apart, but then at the front if you lift this cover here you've got what's known as your electric block, which runs all your 12 volt in the vehicle. So as you can see you will need to carry some spare fuses with your 10, 20, 15 amp fuses. So if a fuse was to blow, try here before you try anywhere else, because this is your main fuse distribution board. Got a cup holder that someone's handily fitted next to the driver. If your step was to be out and it was to be buzzing, you can just press this button here and it'll retract the step. It'll not put it out from here, you'll have to put it out from the habitation door, but if you forget, you can just push it in before you start driving off. You've got your little switch here which does your rear view camera, reverse camera, so it's on all the time, so you can't see behind you at all times, as well as when in reverse. Wipers, side lights, headlights and indicators. You've got cruise control fitted to this model, so you turn it on, you'll get the little green light underneath the fuel gauge. So if you look again, on, there's a green light, mean cruise control. Get the vehicle up to speed and then just press plus. That'll set the cruise control. If you want to go faster, press plus and hold it and it'll increase the speed. If you want to slow down, press and hold minus. If you've got to cancel it with a foot brake, you can just press resume, which is this button here, and it'll take it to the last speed set before the engine was switched off. 5-speed manual gearbox with lifter collar into reverse. And you do have your headlight adjustment here, so you can lower the beam of your headlights. Two 12-volt points. Handy little coin tray. Fan speed 1 to 4 being the max, and then this valve here, you'll either recirculate air within the vehicle or bring fresh air in. And you've got your temperature, hot or cold, followed by your distribution, so wherever you want it to face and feet, just your face, just your feet, or whether you want it to your feet and the screen, or you want it on max demist for the windscreen. Aircon fitted as well on this model, so you press the aircon and bring on the air conditioning. And you've got a few switches here, so you've got heated mirrors, so if they're wet or if it was foggy or damp, you can clear your wing mirrors. Front fog lights. Hazards, rear fog lights, and then ASR off. You can see there, this little one, it just means if you've got caught on wet grass or you're stuck, instead of the ESP system kicking in and stopping you from spinning yourself out, you can turn it off. You can give it some welly with the accelerator and you can get yourself off. And then your head unit. Turn on and off from the top. Press source to turn back on. You've got USB and auxiliary, you've got a CD, FM radio, you can press 1 to 6 to save your favourite channels once you've seeked for them, searched back and forth. And as you can see there, it's working. But remember to turn it off, and you can actually pop the unit out by pressing the bottom left hand corner. Take the fascia out, there's a box there, put it in there if you're leaving the vehicle unattended. And then to black the carb out on an evening, you've got blinds on both sides followed by blinds on the windscreen. And as you can see, it's all blacked out on the front of the vehicle.